Welcome to the Charlie's Cavalry Coaches Show. I'm your host, John Moses. Later in today's show, we'll honor our Student Athlete of the Week and talk men's basketball with head coach Ted Hotaling. But for now, we're joined by head women's basketball coach Jessica Smith.
Hi.
Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, last week your team lost to Assumption, but defeated Lemoyne on Saturday. What did you learn from your team in the last week?
I think we kind of termed it our breakthrough week, our turning point week. I think we finally played really good basketball against Assumption. They're a very, very good team, ranked 17th in the country, and we played probably one of our best games of the season. And then to come off of that with a loss and still be able to bounce back and play just as well to get the win on Saturday, it was a really big step for our team.
Well, part of that breakthrough had to do with the change in the starting lineup. You inserted Liz Caruso and Aquilin Hayes into the starting lineup. What were you looking to accomplish by doing that?
Two things. We're out rebounded in a lot of our early games, and Aquilin brings a lot of rebounding. She also brings a defensive presence, and for the Assumption game, they had Gibson on the wing, who's a very athletic wing, and I felt as though Aquilin would be a good person to kind of hold her down. So, which she did. She only had 5 points, so it was a very good job on her part defensively. And then the other part was to try to get Ando going. I felt like Ando was trying to do too much, and by putting Liz in, it took a little bit of pressure off her and allowed Liz to run the point on a few possessions, which freed up Ando, and she had her best game of the year on Saturday, so it worked.
Well, on offense, your team is using more dribble drive this season, more 4-out and 1-in action. I mean, how do you feel like your team is adjusting to this new offense this season?
Good. I think they really like it. It just takes such a long time to really know it and be really efficient at it and understand what the defense is doing and what's going to be open. We just watching film this morning with Ando in regards to she made 2 or 3 moves in the Lemoyne game, and I said, did you do that on purpose because of how they were playing, or you just happened to do that? And she goes, no, I knew they were playing that way. So those are the little steps that hopefully over time and with experience will start becoming more efficient in the offense.
Well, certainly, and in this first highlight clip, we'll see a great example of what the dribble drive can give you. So Jess, walk us through this clip a little bit. What happens here?
Well, we're moving the ball a lot, and right now they're actually in a zone, and we still stay in the dribble drive. So Aquilin's going to get in gaps. We stay always behind the 3 to keep the spacing good, and we got Bria open for a 3.
Well, Aquilin Hayes has been one of those players that's just given you a ton of energy in the early season. Talk a little bit about her game and what she brings to your team.
Well, she's a tremendous athlete, that's first and foremost. She's still learning how to play, which once she kind of figures that out, she's going to be really, really tough to guard. And she's just a really good rebounder. She makes plays that most of the time you don't see on a basketball court in women's basketball.
Well, we get a great example of that with 2 of these highlights here from Aquilin, the first of which is a really impressive block in transition.
Yeah, she bails us out a lot. So sometimes she's late on help side, but she makes up for it. And then here, this is against man-to-man, so we get to see a little bit more of the dribble drive, moving the ball back and forth, cuts, trying to get into the paint. If you can't, you go back door, and then Q gets a nice little layup there.
Boy, that's really impressive. I mean, that little hop-step move, you just don't see it much in the women's game.
Yeah, no, she's very, very athletic, and she's a really good finisher. She's one of those where I don't put many parameters in terms of how she finishes. Most of the players, I'm like, you have to jump stop and you have to go up with this hand. Q can do it however she wants because she's good at finishing.
Well, this season, Bria Moore is shooting 79% from the free throw line, 44% from three-point range. How does her performance compare to your expectations for her before the season?
They're definitely exceeding my expectations because she's playing very confident and under control. She rarely takes bad shots. She's a good decision maker. So all of those things aren't something you normally see in a freshman. So I think that's obviously better than we expected. I expected her to rebound a lot. I expected her to be able to beat her player off the dribble. But some of these other things were taking good shots and just stepping up in the moment has been quite a surprise.
Well, in your most recent game against Lemoyne, you scored 79 points. I mean, your offense really got rolling in the second half with 48 points. I mean, what was really the difference in that second half?
Obviously, our three-pointers were going in. That obviously helps a lot. But as I said, every single game we just start understanding the offense more, understanding what reads to make, and it just becomes more efficient. And I just think that's where we are with it.
How do you feel your two freshman guards are adjusting to the college game, Monica Shacker and Liz Crusoe?
Up and down. I mean, Liz played phenomenal against Assumption, and then she kind of got a little shaken early in the game versus Lemoyne. And sometimes because she came from a program where she had to do so much, she tries a little bit too hard and doesn't let the game come to her. But she's very aggressive defensively, and she's very confident and a good leader on the floor. So it's really helpful to have her. Monica, same thing. There's times where, I don't know how you can take her off the floor. She hits threes, she gets to the rack, she finishes. She's a great defender. And then sometimes she kind of blends in and doesn't really do much. So they're just finding their way and figuring out their roles and how they can help.
Well, in this next highlight clip, we actually see a little bit of what Monica is so good at and why it's so hard for you to take her off the floor sometimes.
Yeah. This one's defense, though. It's fine. We get a quick run and jump here. We do like to press a lot. Ayana does a good job reading this and getting to the rim.
I mean, full court pressure is one of those things that you use periodically. I mean, what's really your approach to pressure defense, and when do you like to use it?
It's twofold. Some teams we feel as though if we just stay on them the whole entire time, limit their number of seconds they have on the shot clock when they're playing offense, it'll benefit us. Some teams we do it primarily to get turnovers and to pressure them and try to get steals. So there's two kind of philosophies with it.
This week you have 3 tough games coming up. You're at American International tomorrow, then you'll play the University of District of Columbia on Thursday and Southern Connecticut on Saturday. So what's this week like for you?
Well, the players love it. They were telling me, oh, this is great, practice game, practice game, practice game. I told them it's not great for coaches because we have so much to prepare and get ready for. But it's an exciting week because of what we're coming off of last week and knowing that we're starting to play better and it's starting to come together. So I'm really looking forward to the test. UDC is going to be a really, really big challenge. They're very good, undefeated. Playing on the road at AIC is always tough. And, of course, our crosstown rival with Southern it's a fun game every year.
Well, what do you expect this Tuesday's game to be like at American International?
To be honest, usually AIC imposes their will on their opponents. It's usually about 50-48, the score. And our focus in practice today is going to be to really try to push the tempo and try to kind of not make it AIC's game, make it our game instead. So it'll be interesting.
Well, Coach, good luck this week. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.
On the other side of this break, we'll honor our Student Athlete of the Week. This is the Charlie's Cavalry Coaches Show.